first up, you may have seen him in the film adaptation of the Broadway hit The Producers, or as Captain Jack Harkness in a couple of little shows called Doctor Who and Archery, or as the Dark Archer, aka Malcolm Merlin. Our next guest was in the NBC dramedy Ed, the Showtime Emmy-nominated TV telefilm Bang Bang You're Dead, Love Monkey on CBS, Eli Stone. And this Ontario native's credits include the 70s musical adaptation of the Broadway hit Godspell, playing Sidney Bristow's Is He Good Guy or Not on Alias, also Eli Stone, the Showtime series Power, and Martin Stein on The Flash. Legends of Tomorrow. Brandon Rao. First question is for Victor. Victor, this is your...
yell really loud.
The Arrowverse is the second time you've worked with writer-producer Greg Berlanti, the first being Eli Stone, which you and Tom both worked on a show I adore. Dude's got tons of shows on TV right now. What's he like? I mean, is he just a stone cold genius? Because what's his secret to success?
Hi. It's so nice that you're all here. Greg Berlanti is he's a genius, and he's a workaholic, and he is an extraordinarily good guy. And Eli Stone was my first encounter with him, and I was doing something else when he was doing Brothers and Sisters, which was also his show. And anyway, he's got I think like 8 or 9 shows on the air now, something insane. And I would work with him in a heartbeat. Again.
1, 2, 3. Barrel.
Good afternoon. Wait, I'm so sorry. Good afternoon. Thanks so much for being here.
Hangovers in the room, so be careful.
This question is for Victor and Brandon. There's 2 in jokes that are made on Legends of Tomorrow. One when Supergirl references that Ray Palmer looks a lot like her cousin, and the other where Dr. Martin makes a reference that the person who built the Titanic should be shot. And I'm just curious if that came from the actors, the writers, and sort of how those came about, and if we could look to maybe a future reference to Captain Jack in Legends of Tomorrow.
Well, I certainly didn't bring it out. I thought, oh, do you think people will get this? I really wasn't sure it would work. Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and that's all. So, but so many people have come up to me and said how much they enjoyed that, and it was. I'm glad it worked.
As far as the joke for Ray is concerned, I did not come up with that specific joke. No. I encouraged, and I was like, "Hey, it'd be great. We got to do some kind of joke." It's been widely approved of.
Yes.
I have no idea about any Captain Jack reference. However, I know when Arthur and I talked to each other, and we thought it would be funny if I, as Merlin, said something like, "Your coat and your gun look familiar," or something like, because there was that little flash of the Doctor, and he also I don't know if any of you knew this, but the gun that his character in Legends had was a modern version of the Webley, which is the gun that Captain Jack carried in Torchwood and also in Doctor Who. So there was those references, but they weren't by us, like, you know, those of us who are the actors, we get the scripts, we do the scripts, but it's interesting and funny when you do see those jokes, because it just kind of makes you go, oh, that's kind of cool. So if there ever is in the future, I don't know.
Over here.
Hi, love you all, miss you all. My question is, what are your feelings on how much the
John just asked me where we were going.
I haven't seen you or you, and I don't know how long.
Where you been? Follow me on Instagram, you see all of me.
Are you guys coming back though, side note?
I have no idea.
Sure. Let's go with that. My actual question is, what are you guys' feelings on how much the Arrowverse has changed from the beginning, and what do you predict in the next, 5 or 10 seasons?
Well, the Arrowverse, as you know, this is kind of the stock answer, basically, without giving anything away or teasing, but no. TV, Instagram for that. TV dramas, if they didn't change and didn't evolve, they'd become boring, and people would get bored and they'd switch off. That's why things have to change all the time. Characters have to develop differently. Also, characters have to die. People have to move on so that it keeps the storylines interesting. That's what an episodic drama or show does. I think that as long as they can keep switching things up and keep it interesting, the Arrowverse is going to continue. My personal feelings on it, I love the show, and again, if the future were to have me back, I would go at the drop of a hat, because I love playing Malcolm Merlin. I know we all love our characters in the specific shows that we're in, and to be able to say you're part of something that was built with that character involved, in that Arrowverse or the Flash or Legends, it's great to be a part of that. So, how do you feel about it changing?
I like it.
Yeah!
See?
I'm in love. I started Netflixing Arrow and then I stopped as soon as they brought in Barry Allen, and went back and started Netflixing Barry Allen, and then it's like on to the future, and I'm obsessed.
Well, that's good. That's what we love to hear. Particularly you're crossing into all the different shows and things like that. That's good.
They've taken me through everyone.
I think that all television, but these properties have become a choose-your-own-adventure of sorts. And the people that are choosing their own adventure are you guys.
Yeah.
All of you watching, participating, talking on social media are making this possible for all these new characters and new shows to come about. Obviously we have to create it, and it has to be good content, but you guys can talk about it and be excited about it, come to these events and fuel, everybody has to do their part in this interchange. We're all part of this together. We just have different jobs in the kind of cycle. So the continued involvement and excitement from the fans creates more opportunities for new shows and new characters, and then opportunities for people to come back and do that, because you're open to people coming back, and for the rules to not always be the rules, because they change. If you've watched our show. So anyway, thanks to everyone.
Over here.
Hi, I'm Sophie. My question is, what other characters in Arrowverse would you want your characters to interact with more?
I never got to spend enough time on Flash. I only got my one episode, and the crossover for the Legends is always less than it should be in my mind, and non-existent in this season. So write letters if you'd like. You know who to send them to. Tom, Cap, no, not Tom. So I'd like to work more with Tom. I like to work with Grant, with everybody in Flash, and I always love going back and revisiting Emily, working with Emily and Felicity. and I've never really worked with most of the Supergirl people, so I'd like to work with them.
Yeah. Why is the Barrowman Kavanaugh thing?
I'd like you to direct me.
We should also do a show where I direct you too. Do you know what I'm saying? I knew you did. No one else did. You were not there.
They're a little slow this morning.
You explained to Victor what we're doing?
I didn't hear. Oh, I'm here. Still here. I may be off the show, but I'm still here.
These guys on stage are some of my favorite people, not just in the shows that we do, but just favorite people. I've known and done projects with these guys for many years, and hope to be on screen or on stage with John. You know, it's interesting when you. I don't have the words to explain how much of a privilege it is. Even though we don't get to work together as much as we would like, the fact that we do cross-pollinate at times is one of the wonderful things about doing these things. That's a rare statement.
Even scared me.
Terrifying us. I think that's it for my answer, right? Better stop talking right there. Anyway, these guys are great, and I love acting with them. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. I've crossed it over in the sense into all of the shows. I got to do the Flash musical episode, which was awesome. I got to be kind of a part of a mean team. You know, we called ourselves the Mean Odd Couple with Damien Dark and Malcolm Merlin in Legends, and then you know, Supergirl I haven't been involved in. I would love to be in Supergirl, girl power all the way. I also, you know, so that would be something, but I would like to do, there's one episode that I really loved, and it was when Barry Allen and Malcolm walked out of the shadows, and he just turned to Malcolm Merlin, because I came out and gave some information, then just went back into the shadows. He's like, where do you come from? I'd like to build on that more.
Brandon, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Legends season 2, they really embraced the funny, like some of the, you know, the Titanic joke and the Supergirl's cousin look-alike. For me, this season this is the second worst Attack of the Clones I've ever seen. Was this tonal shift something that was organic? Was it something the cast kind of wanted or the writers instigated, or?
Something that I've always wanted. I mean, I was brought into Arrow season 3 to be the levity, to bring comedy and humor to that show, or to some of the show. And so when my character transitioned to Legends, that was always in my mind. That was my thing, and I had the bulk of the jokes, I think, because that's kind of where my character was. But everyone was always doing a little humor. That was part of the show, but as we realized that the audience was responding to it and it worked so well, and we could do that and have these outlandish things happening, raise the stakes so much, but have the comedy play so well with these dire stakes, that's what really made the show, you know, be working on firing on all cylinders. And I just keep pushing the envelope every day and at work, and you know, I'm given great dialogue to say and funny jokes. I take what the writers and producers give me, and then I put my own flavor to it, and stuff that happens just on the day, and continue to push the envelope, and some of it stays in the show and some of it doesn't. And as you know, just as the humors work, the people responding to it, everyone's doing more of it. We have fantastic comedians on our show as well. And, season 4 promises to be even more outlandish and ridiculous. I'm happy doing more comedy than action and fighting. You know, let everyone else do the comedy and fighting. I do it a little bit still, but I'm here for the comedy.
Thank you. Speaking of which, outlandish and ridiculous, there's a Peebo out there somewhere I saw. Yeah, Peebo!
If you can pull off the season finale, season 3, Legends of Tomorrow, and still be on the air, I mean, there's no place we can't go, I don't think.
Thanks, Brandon. Over here.
As a viewer, one of the things that's really interesting about watching all the shows is that they each kind of have a different tone and a different vibe. So as actors going from one show to another, do you feel like it's different, or does it just feel like a bunch of pieces of the same thing?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I think when I was on Arrow, Ray Palmer on Arrow is a different version of Ray Palmer, different side. It's still Ray Palmer. That Ray Palmer still exists. The more tech-forward business suit leader in a different way. You know, he is the head of a business. You know, that was the type of person he needed to be in those skill sets, push those skill sets to the forefront. And the humor wasn't quite as outlandish and big. Shifting into Legends, we have more freedom to be silly and ridiculous, and so that version of Ray Palmer comes out. And Flash was kind of a moderated version between the two of those, I would say, because there's a lot of that fun in Legend, or that exists in Legends also exists in the Flash at times.
I think Merlin was just evil and bad and vile, which I loved in Arrow, and you know, but also a dad and a caring father. However, you might not agree with his parenting very much. But in Flash, the few times he was there, he was mysterious. However, he was a little more flippant when he was in Flash, and then he got to sing. He was the all singing, all dancing, other alter ego of himself. And then in Legends, he was not the leader of the kind of League of Assassins bad guy. He kind of took the side seat a little with Damien Dark and observed the evil, which I tried to play a little bit of. He learned a bit that he didn't. He kind of questioned what he did in Arrow by watching what was being done in Legends by Damien, and that was where he kind of became a little more empathetic and sympathetic and caring for his daughter and also for Oliver Queen when he went back into Arrow, and consequently why he then sacrificed himself for his daughter. So for me, it's great to play the differences, and that's, as I know I speak on behalf of the other three, as actors, it's great to play those little nuances, and that's what keeps it exciting for us. But it's also great to tie it all in so that you have a through line through all of those different pieces and different storylines to bring it back to where you are in your original character base and core for when you have to make choices and decisions. So,
out of all the current and past members of the Arrowverse, who do you think would do well with their own show that doesn't currently have one?
Got the script when my sister and I wrote the Dark Archer backstory. Let's go back and see how Malcolm Merlin became Malcolm Merlin. I want to be honest.
Merlin and Martin, or Martin and Merlin.
Yeah, that sounds like a great double act.
A different odd couple.
Yeah. I think we're doing it right now. Exactly.
That's a lead, what's very definition of a leading question that is asked and answered when you ask two guys. Like these two guys here, it's like, that's who we want to see. We can't possibly see anything else. It's got to be these guys. So I look forward to crossing over and doing your show.
You can guest on our show.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
We'd like to have you.
Yeah. Brandon and I will be supporting characters on your show.
I have to be part of it. Said I named the show.
Yeah, he's got to be part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're an executive producer already.
Yeah. Brandon's an exec. Done.
I'm not happy with my contract.
Join the club.
Hi, I'm shaking. My question's for Brandon. Where do you see Ray and Nora's relationship going in season 4?
Well, so far, early-ish in the season, we're discovering a little bit about them and having some interaction. And I'm not sure where it will go for sure, although I do know that we are playing into and continuing the energy that was created towards the end of the season. And it's definitely going to be, it's a back and forth thing. You know, I think what I love about...
better.
I think having them both be, they're both opposites, light and dark, and having that together I think is great, and teasing that out as much as possible is I think, be best for the season and best for the characters. Whether they ultimately end up together, I don't know. I often think it's the relationship that they have could just be that they're learning so much about life and opposites spectrums of emotional and life experience from each other, which I think is important for us all to take from people who are opposites and learn from their perspectives so that we can better understand the different range of humanity. We don't all grow up with sunshine and rainbows in our lives, and some people do and some people don't. We have to kind of bridge that gap, and I think Nora and Ray are doing that on screen together, and understanding that you can come to some kind of balance in life. You must have light and dark to I don't know, understand everyone a little bit better. So we're playing that out. It's fun. It adds for drama, comedy, and maybe a nice little love story depending on where the writers take us. Yeah. Thanks.
In the pilot for The Flash, we find out at the end that Harrison Wells is not what he seems. When did they tell you that you were the big bad, the Reverse Flash?
Victor and I have worked with Greg, did a number of shows, and he was like, hey, come do this show. But they weren't releasing that info at first. And he said, are you gonna play a scientist? And I was like, nah. They were like, come on, play the scientist. I'm like, nah. And then they were like, fly out here and we're gonna talk to you. And they're like, so he's the Reverse Flash. I'm like, oh, all right. Literally, that's kind of how that went down. Actually, it was kind of funny. It was at NBC Studios, and it was a hallway, and there was nobody around. But I distinctly remember them getting up, and there was nobody around, and closing the door. One of these. It's the Reverse Flash. Okay, could have just said that, but...
Yeah, your phones were tapped, though.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's right. It was the highest decibel signal. But yeah, so they said, and that's when I signed on.
Now, did the other cast members have any idea?
You'd have to ask them.
They called me on the phone and told me right away.
Yeah. And guess what?
We didn't know each other then. Also weird.
It was weird. It's like, will you accept a collect call from Tom and Catherine?
Actually, we played basketball. That's true, but we weren't.
So let me get this straight. You're the Reverse Flash?
Brandon, go. Yeah.
Over here.
Hi, so my question's for Brandon. So in the show, there's a lot of references to bulletproof coffee, which obviously you're like obsessed with. So I was wondering if it being in the background of a lot of scenes was like you just leaving your coffee cup, or if that was like an intentional prop.
I like the word choice, obsessed. Go.
It's true because it works.
You had to state because it works in there, didn't you?
Thanks for the question, Jess. We couldn't put bulletproof coffee like actual logo because then they have to pay for it. Somebody has to pay for it. But I would try to make it part of it, and I had the mugs that are actually using the metallic mugs. I was using my bulletproof mug, but we taped it and I was covering the logo because we couldn't show it. But now they like them so much that they bought the mugs without the emblem on them, and so those are part of the Wave Rider set now. Is the mugs we use. But it's been my incessant talking about it that has allowed for it to finally be mentioned, not necessarily by name, but by ingredients on a couple episodes. Yeah.
I hope you have stock in it.
I don't know.
Ish.
Good. It's beneficial. It's
Karmically rewarded.
into other people's lives. Yes.
Yes.
Hey, my name's DJ. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. I was wondering, how y'all deal with after one of your fellow actors' character died, like Professor Stein when he died? In case you ever see Crisis on Earth, spoiler, How y'all deal with it after the character died, when you know you probably not gonna work with him again on the show?
You better answer this correctly.
I'll take that one for now. We hate it. It's difficult when, like John says, you have to. I mean, what's that show where they shot it in overseas in Scotland? Game of Thrones, I think it's called.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, I've heard of it.
And, you know, I've heard they used to kill people, right?
All the time.
But that's the thing where it's like, John says to keep a show going, there has to be like valleys and peaks, and it's when you really like somebody that comes on the show and they light up the set and it's wonderful to have them, and then suddenly they go off to another project. It's really, really, really difficult, you know, because sometimes it's necessary, but it's never easy unless you don't like the person. But in the instances that we've been through on the shows that I've been involved with in the multiverse, it's been when somebody has to go. It's been really, really, really trying and really difficult, and it's very emotional when you shoot that scene on that day and you realize this thing is happening. There's generally, it's very emotional.
Particularly when the person or the character is one that was the core in the beginning and the creation of the world, and then they're going. It's tough. It's tough, and sometimes you see the tears and the stuff in the scenes, and depending on how it's shot during the day, it's nice if you can make those scenes the last scene of the day, but it doesn't always work that way, and they're pretty much real tears when you see that stuff, because it's true. We as actors like to be truthful with the emotion, but sometimes the emotion takes over.
It's I mean, just say as far as Victor is concerned, and Francis' character didn't pass. He's not with us either. It makes a big impact on us as a crew and cast, and it changes the dynamic of our show, and to bring on new energies and get used to new people, and that's challenging, but we do, because we're actors. It's part of the job. But the legacy continues, and we often find ourselves remarking when we're on set, remembering things that people would say, or what happened.
What would Victor do now?
The situations that happened, and we think fondly of them. And I have a reference, it's a Martin Stein reference in episode 3 or 4, where I quote you.
Really?
Yeah.
I must watch.
The memory of legacy of Martin Stein lives on.
Yeah, I'll just say, for me, being the person I assume you're talking about, that whole episode was very, very painful, because I love these people inordinately, and I felt, I just needed to go back home because I was homesick, and they allowed me to. They wrote me out of the show, and they were very nice about it. And now I'm pitching to go back because I miss them too much. I've got Brandon working on it, and I'd like to at least go back and do a couple of episodes, because it is time travel.
Yeah.
And I can just, they could just go back and find me, earlier. It is emotional, and it hit me harder than I thought it would, and also being here at this convention, I mentioned this the other day, that your response to the character and my leaving and everything has made me even more aware of how much it means, and so I hope that I will have the opportunity to go back and be just the annoying person I was on the set, saying, "Why is this taking so long?"
Every once in a while, we've all said that.
I can be really difficult. What?
I said we've all said that.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Tom's the loudest.
I appreciate that, and I will hopefully get a chance to do an episode or two here.
Hi, this is a question for Tom. What was your favorite Harrison Wells to play?
Well, it's very, you can't choose between children. Let me just put it that way. But I find them all like equally enjoyable and I'm sure pretty obnoxious and annoying at the same time, which is one of the things that I like about them. In many ways, there's a lot of, they're bitches in a lot of ways, you know. They're not the greatest dudes, and I like that. Like I was saying earlier, the reason I signed on was to do the reverse fast. So every time I'm, you know, getting the suit on, that's I think the thing that makes me the happiest. In terms of the 17 or so Wellses that I've come up with, generally the one that I'm playing that day, or the 2 or 3 or 4 that I'm playing that day, are the ones that I love the most. Although there's one that talks like this. He's coming out this year. You haven't met him yet, but he's really obnoxious, but very smart, and he's fun to play. So maybe that guy. He's French. That's right. But he's, you know, French, but not French Canadian because it's kind of different. Earth.
Okay.
Do you see? Is that Earth?
Earth.
That's right. Earth.
For a moment there, I thought it was Celine Dion.
I mean, somebody's going to like, yeah, you're constantly confusing people with Celine Dion. You need to have your brain checked. It's like, hey, is that Celine Dion? John, is that Celine John? I can do the little Celine Dion riff for a bit, but I'll stop now. But at some point, Warner Brothers is going to like look at the lineup of the Harrison Wells and go, what is that guy doing over there? And then I'll be alongside Victor, like pining to be part of the Merlin and Martin show.
Over here.
Maria, I just want to thank you guys again for coming and being here at Dragon Con. We all really appreciate it. I think I can say that for everybody here. My question is there a time period that you haven't been to that you want to go to? And what has been your favorite time period so far to work in?
That's a good question.
I feel like we've pretty much gone everywhere. Although we've been to the Cretaceous period, we haven't been to the like Paleolithic, so we didn't, you know, come into any early humans, which I think would be intriguing. Just dinosaurs before, too early. So that might be interesting. I enjoyed the Camelot episode the most. Fun for me because I'm a fantasy nerd, so getting to sword fight has been one of my highlights for Legend of Tomorrow.
I have a vast experience of time travel. I've been to many different times, planets. I've lived in the ground for centuries. Watched the world pass. I've seen the destruction of the world, of the universe. But my one that I would love to do, if ever they went back, because I know Legends already hit this time period, but my husband and I, Scott, have a very weird fascination with World War II. And I would love to play a character who, well, I played Captain Jack, who was in World War II. However, I would like to go back to that and experience it not as Jack, but as somebody else. So that would be where, if I were ever to go back onto Legends, I'd love to hit that again.
Captain Jack, you played heroes, you played villains, Malcolm Merlin, who's, like you said, pretty despicable. Which do you prefer? Because you play them both so well.
Never answer favorites. I mean, it's like Tom just said, you don't choose a favorite child unless you're Sophie and Sophie's Choice, then you have to do something. I know, let's not, is it too soon?
What are you doing with your World War II crap?
I enjoy, and that's again, you know, not getting too heavy with the whole actor stuff, but that's one of the joys of doing what we do, is playing different people, playing sides that we know at home we're not like. I mean, although I'm a big flirt and silly, I'm really not like Captain Jack at home. I'm also not like Malcolm Merlin at home. However, my husband may say that sometimes I am like Malcolm Merlin at home. No, but you have to be able to find those places inside yourself, and that's what, when you hear actors talking about, they're digging into the areas that they don't want to tap into, that, you know, we've kind of as all of us, we learn to shut away. That's our job, to open up those doors and let that come out. And that's the beauty of playing those characters. So I absolutely enjoy being a hero, and I also absolutely enjoy being a villain or an asshole. So it's great. It's wonderful.
Over here.
From the very all the shows is the quality of the costume, the heroes and the villains. And it's remarkably hard sometimes to find the little tricks that make it look so good during the action. It took a long time to even find out how Steven keeps the hood out of his face when he moves. Are there good ways of finding out? Because Maya Manning does a great job,
Yes,
but I can't seem to make contact with anyone about how some of these little things actually work.
A lot of this stuff for us is our costume designer, Kate Main, is trial and error. And so Grant will have the suit, and this thing won't work as well, so he'll put a zipper in. Or early on, we were in the reverse flash suit. There was talk of like getting the cowl right so you'd have it glued to your face. And you can't do a stunt when your cheek is being ripped off. So a lot of it is trial and error. But also, I will say, I think they're geniuses. We talked about this yesterday, where someone will say, and they look like this, and then it's an amazing creative force that creates whatever uniform or whatever outfit they're going to look at, and that may be just for one day. It's incredible. They're artists in every sense, and it's amazing to watch how disposable some of the stuff is, and yet how good it is at the very same time.
Yeah, they're creatives, and they're amazing at their jobs, and they take on the task with passion and with great technical expertise and creativity, and add so much to all of our shows. Our show even more, maybe because of not even more, but in a different way, because our costumes are constantly changing, and we're trying on new things, and they're having to learn about how you wear this clothes, and how do you put on this type of armor, and how do you put a samurai armor on, and so we're all kind of working together, and it's all a team effort, because costumers don't always know how to put those things on either, so we're learning how to do it. So it's all a big team effort, and everyone working together.
And what's fun is also when you're getting ready to shoot a scene and they say, okay, we're ready for you, but then you have to suit up, and there's like 5 people standing around their chairs with all the wardrobe people suiting you up, and they're saying, how does this go on? Because they're learning also, because they may not have dressed Brandon before, but then you get specifics where they know. But costumes, like saying, they evolve, you figure little things out. I know with Merlin, all of his stuff was layered, it was really warm, so we cut off all the sleeves inside, little things like that, just little nuances that make it different, so that there's only one sleeve on the arm and the rest is all just layered on the chest, but you gotta make it work.
The key in all that, I think, is being open to, not necessarily compromise, but to your design not being the end-all, be-all. Correct. And having, putting the team effort at the forefront, and everyone being comfortable with what they're doing. Because I've been other things that I've done that somebody creative in their own right wanted to stick to what they had designed, and so no matter kind of how it was working out.
Superman.
So it's good to have everybody be on the same team.
Yeah. And Maya does a fantastic job of designing the costumes. She does, you're right. Thank you. Over here.
Hi, you guys are awesome, by the way. But my question is for Victor. How did it feel like right before leaving, being dressed up as Firestorm? But also, how do you guys all feel about your costumes?
I said, first of all, you're kidding. I can't get into well, it's not going to look good. And then, of course, they made it, they made it bigger. I was kind of actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it, because I said, the great thing about being Martin Stein is that I never have to wear spandex, and I can always, when as soon as it says in the script they merge, it means I can go home because it's friends or Robbie originally, and but that particular costume fitting. I was very nervous about it, and I thought, I hope I can pull this off. And then I found that when I was actually doing it, I really, really enjoyed it.
My suit is, it looks amazing. I have a great team that helps me, helps repair it, keep it working and functioning, and it helps get me into it. I have 2 Atom suit techs on set whenever the Atom is around, and they have to do so much work. They have these big lockers on wheels that they have to move around. I have 3 suits, stunt suit, 2 stunt suit, 2 stunt suits, and then one that I usually normally wear, the camera one, for on camera. And they're constantly making sure that all the electronics work. And then there's
all the electronics work on cue.
Is there any Krypton near you right now?
Tom has it. So anyway, it's great. It's a challenging suit to wear, to be in for long periods of time, but thankfully our cast and crew is very understanding, and I've been much better about saying, okay, I need some time, so I'm going to go over here and take the parts of it off and have a rest, and then I'll come back. Can you shoot this? No, it's too technical. Anyway, I found ways around making it easier.
So you're not a complainer too. You're like.
Well, I've done my fair share of complaining in the past.
I've seen complaining, my friend.
And
I don't feel
when I was younger, during Superman days, I didn't know.
Oh, Superman! Yeah,
I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to advocate for myself in a more positive way sometimes. So it was a lot of work, and I was frustrated.
For those who don't know, Brandon was Superman.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's right. He's bloody famous.
There's a video game, Superman Returns, the video game. Voice.
I love the Reverse Flash suit. Absolutely love it. Again, there's like such a team that put this stuff together and doesn't really include you at first because they have the design and all that. And the Reverse Flash suit is very yellow in a lot of the iterations we see, and they've done this like graded kind of like gritty darkness to it in the iteration that I wear, and it's phenomenal. Like I think, especially at our age, when this is stuff that you did when you were a child, and your suit didn't look so great, but the power of imagination made it look incredible. To now be able to use that power of imagination that we've all kept, but to complement that with some other artist who's going to make the suit look incredible, it's hard to explain what a thrill it is, and unexpected to put that suit on. It's tremendous.
Like I said, Malcolm Merlin was all layers. Malcolm Merlin was, the very first time I wore the Merlin suit, I was doing a fight sequence with Steven. And it was my first time on set. They started shooting with me at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I was nervous because I, was doing this new character, and it was one of the first scenes I did, and I was supposed to, I had my hood, and I had, at that time, what I call the GIMP mask that was really pulling my face, and I hate things over my face and all sorts of stuff. I loved the costume, however, it was very not easy to move in, and I was doing this sequence, and when I was shoved him, I kicked him through the wall, went through the wall, and I'm supposed to go up to him and start kicking him in the stomach and in the chest, and what they didn't tell me is that I had actual Harley Davidson steel toe cap boots on. And when I went through the wall, pushed him down, and he went down, my hood fell in front of my eyes, and I kicked him right in the shins. I cried myself on. Only once before have I hit a stuntman, and I was so appalled that he's jumping around the room going, ah! And I'm going, are you okay? And he's like, I'm fine. Look, I said, dude, I know you're not fine because I've had that happen to me before, and you want to kill me right now. And he's like, yes, I do. Get away, get away, get away. But then we made adaptations, like you were saying, rather than gluing stuff to your face, putting little clips in where it doesn't fall in front, and so that was a lesson learned. But I love putting on the Malcolm Merlin Dark Archer outfit. It's so awesome. It's so evil, and I love it.
Hi. My question is for Tom. I wanted to know if in season 5, will we ever learn how Reverse Flash survived being erased from existence?
best way to answer this question is to say, what do you think?
I don't really know. We didn't have much Reverse Flash until last season with the crossover.
Yeah, I mean, my friend Brandon was saying, it's very difficult to have a light without a dark to put it in, and vice versa. So I think oftentimes our shows go down these avenues that they go down, but you always kind of want to get back to the core. Batman, Joker, Lex Luthor, Superman, all these kind of things, which I think is why you'll probably see more of John. The Reverse Flash is I think it's a necessary thing for our show. Let me just put it that way.
If I can just jump in a little there, this is something completely different, but if you haven't, for those of you who don't know or did watch, I'm one of the hosts of the new DC Universe online. And the DC Universe will be revealing a lot of the secrets and a lot of the teasers and things like that throughout the seasons of all of the shows that are in the DC Universe. So if you haven't already downloaded the platform, do it, because secrets like that might be revealed. Dun, dun, dun.
We only have about 10 minutes left.
Well, speak up and hurry up then.
Hi, my name is Matt, and Tom, I've been a fan of yours since Ed. And
you don't look old enough, my friend.
Well, I'll be honest, it was the first show that I got to decide that I wanted to watch, and yeah, I love that show. But I just wanted to hear you talk a little bit about that experience of being on that show, and what did you take from that show that helped you, all the way through the Flash?
Well, I think for gentlemen like us, I think one of the ways that you stay in when you've done a career that spanned like 30 years or longer is you have to be what you are, an actor. You have to love what you do. And so I'd been through a decade of musical theater prior to that, and a lot of stage, and had learned in those years that to me it didn't matter what the profile was. I was happiest initially on stage, and then happiest on set, just acting. It didn't matter to me. I'm Canadian. I did a number of television series that never got seen, that outside of the stage, no one even heard of, I don't think, And so what that does is tells you that profile and celebrity, any of that stuff doesn't matter to you. It weeds out the people that want to be famous, and it just allows the people who are actors to be actors, which is what this table is. And by the time that show came along, it was the first time I had any kind of profile. It was on NBC. It was around the time of West Wing, and that was a very big show. And so we got a lot of attention. And what was interesting was realizing that what mattered to me was I was just with people that I loved. Julie Bowen, who's gone on to win every Emmy since, and just a cast of wonderful people, and the crew, and it was the exact same experience as every other good experience I'd had at that point, when you were working with people that you love. And the profile, I realized, didn't matter, which was a good thing, because that was before the time of social media. And I look at some of the co-stars that we have, and I think it must be a lot more difficult to navigate when you become famous at 25, because of the attention that social media allocates to you. And I don't know necessarily that that's always a good thing, because when I was doing that show, nobody paid any attention to me. The show would air, but there was the rest of my life was completely private, and so I think that was a solid thing for, again, focusing on the thing that you are, which is an actor. And I think that lesson is the one that is one of the main ones that I've carried through, is that, listen, you need to proceed from gratitude, which is my mantra. It's like you're doing what you love, be aware of it, and it doesn't matter whether it's getting any attention at all. When we did Eli Stone, there was the the sword of Damocles was hanging over us the entire time. It was like that show was a really fun show with really good people, but there's always a sense what they call in acting the bubble. That show's going to get canceled. Is it this year? Is it next year? And so if you're proceeding from gratitude, that look, the show's not going to, none of these shows are going to last forever. All of it is fleeting. But if you're grateful when you're there, I don't think there's a better thing than that.
No matter what anyone does in their daily life to find something, to find a reason to be happy, otherwise you'll never find happiness, and gratitude is a place. You don't have to be gratitude for the job that you have necessarily, but find other things in life to be something to be have great gratitude, and start from there, and then adding up all the things that you can find gratitude for. And I've done projects that I knew were going to be fantastic and nobody would see, and I've gone, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And then hopefully those days I go, wait, but I can still enjoy the presence of the people that I'm working with, the day that I'm having, and the outcomes. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this movie is going to be like, what the TV show is going to be like. But if I'm worried the whole time or upset the whole time about it, worrying about what it's going to be like, I'm wasting the time that I am wasting all of the days leading up to it. So we're always waiting for the outcome and not enjoying the experience. And it's
Success is
just
like
not as good.
Success is like love. When you least expect it, it hits you in the face.
Yep.
Cheers, thanks.
When I saw the Damien Dark East Germany wig, I wondered, is the hair and makeup department trolling us? Like, do they look for the silliest wig they can find? And do you have a favorite bad wig on the show?
FBW question.
The famous bad wig? I know I wore a wig on at one point, because they had to make me look like I was back in my 20s, which I thought was a stretch. No, listen, so when they put that wig on me, I was like, can you put I did, oh come on. I did what I call my Joan Collins, who I know really well, and Joan, there's an old trick in the 40s and the 30s and 40s, and they put tape here, and then they put the band around, and they put another piece of tape, and they pull it in the back. I'm wearing that now. What? That's what I am doing. So I and when they put the glue on with the wig, it just tightened everything up, and I maybe looked like in my 30s a little bit, but I didn't think 20s. But that wig, people actually came up to me and said to me, they said, you look like Katie Cassidy's dad, David Cassidy. I'm like, well, don't tell her that. She won't want to do any scenes with me. But yeah, so that wig was interesting. There was a lot of comments about it on social media.
The Damien Dark wig it's part of that episode is a playoff on the film. Anybody name it? I can't remember the name of it. Coen Brothers film, right? Who? Coen Brothers. The wig, no country for old men. Yes. So hair is supposed to look like the actor's name. Javier Bardem's wig or hair in that movie. So that's why it looks so bad like that. If anyone didn't know that.
Wigs are hard to pull off.
I've had some good wigs. You need to help.
Thank you for getting that.
Joke for 4.
I'm old school.
Just bad, that's what you're saying? So you're not laughing. Fair enough.
There you go. Sadly, this will be our last question.
Boy, a lot of pressure.
So John, you mentioned that you'd love to be directed by Tom. I was wondering if you guys, which other cast members would you like to see take the helm as director, and maybe which one of the shows do you think do best on?
Well, I know that, I don't know if I'm supposed to say who, but so I won't. But I know there's, because it might be a big surprise to everybody, but there's other cast members on Arrow that I know are being positioned to direct, and I think it's more for them to talk about and reveal. I think it's always great. The one thing that, again, I'll do it quickly. The one thing, again, with these shows that's wonderful is that you have people in positions where they start, and then as the shows grow, and again, as they change storyline-wise, people in those positions of the crew, lighting, DPs, sound people, they all start to kind of move up in the ranks, and everybody gets to try something different. So it's a I call it a nest of where we kind of birth people into new positions and new parts of their careers where they can move on and do other things. And I think that's also what's great about the family of television and the shows that we do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love directing our show. It's a tremendous group, and they're tremendous stories to tell. I think we're all here because we, in many ways, just appreciate these stories. And so the way they're told nowadays with the abilities that the actors have, but also with the digital advancements and the technology, it's great to be able to do it. And I'm always encouraging my fellow castmates to do what I do, and I think they're reluctant because it seems daunting at first, but then you realize there's a team of experts in every department and every division to help them along. Danielle Panabaker is going to direct an episode this year, and she's appropriately nervous, and she's going to be great. I honestly think that if anybody has an interest in it, it's a great, as John says, it's very, 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 very rare to be on a ostensibly what is a long-running show, and to take advantage of it in that way is good if those people have aspirations. I know some of the Arrow people are going to do it. I'm going to direct our 100th. We're always, I think, as actors, when you're directed by someone who sort of knows what the process and procedure is, it can go one of two ways. They can be like, I've always wanted to tell you you're terrible, and now I can, legitimately, or they can be supportive, and look, they understand the language. Like when I direct our guys, Carlos initially said, I thought you'd be giving us notes every time, and I never give them notes. He says, no, because I know you know what to do, so you're always telling them, like, just do your thing, and they do it. It's really, really, these shows are really enjoyable, and hopefully, you'll see more cast members directing them.
Carver.